up on Midco Sports tonight, highlights plus halftime and post-game reaction from the USD men's win over Oral Roberts last night. Then Tom Nieman and I break down the Summit League Strength Index. We'll see where our experts rank each team as we near the halfway point of the league season. And finally, hear from both North Dakota head basketball coaches Brian Jones and Travis Brewster in Coach Talk. All of that plus much more, Midco Sports Tonight tips off right now.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm Kelly Stewart, and this is Midco Sports Tonight. Well, just two Summit League men's basketball games were going on last night, but one of them happened to be on our network. Oral Roberts visited South Dakota yesterday at the SDSu, with the Yotes looking to continue their momentum after a road win at Fort Wayne last week. Meanwhile, ORU was looking for its first win in the Dakotas this season. USD definitely glad to be back at home. Or are you riding a two-game losing streak? But for the Golden Eagles, Emmanuel Nezikwezi gets the lay-in right away. They were aggressive from the start, but USD firing right back. Matt Mooney, top of the key three. USD attacking inside as well. Trey Birch-Manning for two in the lane. But Oral Roberts using their height advantage. Albert Owens throws it down for the slam. Height not an issue for USD because they shared the ball so well. Birch-Manning to Tyler Peterson for the layup. Then Mooney finds Peterson again for two on the baseline. Still first half, here comes ORU. Sam Kearns finds a seam, finishes at the rim, but nothing really phasing the Yotes. They took great shots. Tyler Hagedorn, the short little hook for two. Halftime, USD was up 43-31. And ORU head coach Paul Mills maybe not too happy about that.
USD is out rebounding you guys 16-12 in this first half. A stat you guys take a lot of pride in. How do you combat that in the second half?
Got to rebound.
Simple as that. Just got to rebound. All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off. Moving on to the second half. Peep the footwork right here. This Euro step by Peterson. Oral Roberts, however, did get a few of these transition buckets when USD didn't have time to set up the press. Kearns right there, but USD can do that too. Tristan Simpson to Trey Birch-Manning, the alley-oop. That's just pretty. The Yotes are dropping dimes in this one. Mooney threads the needle to Simpson and one, and then later Tyler Peterson would find Mooney for two. USD ends up rolling to the 82-70 victory. 5 players scored in double figures for the Yotes, led by Matt Mooney, who notched 19, also added 5 assists to that. And notable, the Coyotes shot 55% from the field in the win, and 5 players tallied 2 assists or more. USD improves to 16-5 on the year, 4-1 in Summit League play. I caught up with head coach Craig Smith after the final buzzer.
All right, Craig, I'm going to yell so you can hear me.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
19.
Get your coaching voice going.
I know, I'm not a very good coach. 19 assists on 27 made field goals. A huge stat for you guys tonight, really sharing the ball. Also, 5 of your guys had 2 or more assists. How big was that stat for you guys tonight?
Well, it's been big. You know, it's been a big point of emphasis for our guys, for our team. It's been nice. In the last 2 weeks, we've had 2 games, and actually we've had 6 practices. So we finally kind of been able to get some quality practice time. Our offense has been not bad, but not as good as it could be, certainly. And so tonight was certainly a great step in the right direction.
All right, well, let's switch gears to women's hoops right now. For that, I am joined by Mr. Tom Nieman. How's it going?
Hi, Stu.
Well, hello. I'm great.
Paul Mills was not having it. He
was not having
it. He did
it.
answer the question. He did answer the question, but he was ready to go.
I threw him like the perfect oop, though. He could have gone anywhere with that. He could have dunked it. He could have shot a layup.
He was busy.
And he was busy. Had to go coach. Anyways, here to talk about South Dakota State, Tom Nieman, women's basketball.
Yes.
And last week's road trip, they went 2-0. But not an easy 2-0 because of travel issues.
I'm sure you've had some nightmare trips at USD.
Oh, yeah. Every single time at Chicago O'Hare.
Anyway, it took the Jacks about 24 hours to get to Denver when it should have taken them about 4. They were supposed to fly out of Sioux Falls Wednesday last week for their game on Thursday, but they had plane problems, sat on the plane for an hour, got off, sat on the terminal for 3 hours, still couldn't go. There was no flight to Denver the next day on Thursday, so they get on a bus to Omaha. Got to Omaha at 2 in the morning, spent a couple of hours in Omaha, got on a flight to Denver that got into Denver at 9 o'clock Thursday morning. They got some sleep, didn't do a shoot around, any of that other normal road trip stuff, got up to eat, and then got to the game at about 2 o'clock. So did it affect them? Aaron Johnston picks up the story from there.
And so do I think that impacted our performance? Yeah, I mean, I do. That's a tough day.
But at the same point, you know, they could happen to anybody. So we just kept telling the team, hey, 7 o'clock Mountain Time, that ball's going up and it's going to get tipped. And you play well, you have a chance to win. You don't, you'll lose. And no one's going to look back at the travel as an issue. You know, you got to find a way to do it. And thankfully we did. We played well in a lot of areas, despite having some maybe lack of sleep and a little bit of chaos for the 12 hours before that.
Well, the Jacks were behind the entire first half at Denver and down by 1 at the end of the third quarter. But Macy Miller and Maddie Giebert combined to score the final 15 SDSu points, and the Jacks pull it out against a Denver team that has improved this year.
There's a new energy with that team, a confidence and aggressiveness, just a different perspective, and they sure played like it. They did a nice job. Physical, they defended us, I thought, really well. Second chance points were huge for us to just keep us hanging in there throughout the game. And then in the fourth quarter, Maddie and Macy really took over, as they have in so many games this year. Both of them made shots, made plays, got to the basket, and those two were really the difference for us in that game late.
The Jacks did it again in Tulsa 2 nights later. Another second-half comeback in a 7-point win over Oral Roberts.
We just really thought we were going to have a big test, and we were in that game throughout. We were down a little bit, and like so many games we've had lately, our fourth quarter, our finish was excellent. Macy and Maddie really took over. Maddie had 2 points all in the first half, and the second half I think he had 15, and they were all important and came at the right time. So Maddie and Macy did a nice job along with Lexi, and we really found a way to get a good road win there.
So the Jacks are 4-0 in Summit League play, and if there is one thing to nitpick right now, it would be the fact that the Jacks have been behind a lot in the first half and even into the third and fourth quarters so far. So is that a concern? Not really.
My mindset is always, what do we got to do better? And one area we haven't been great at is we haven't had great starts. But at the same point, you know, we haven't had bad starts. We haven't just come out and rolled like a lot of people feel like we would. But at the same point, we haven't really just dug ourselves these huge holes either. You know, we're adjusting well throughout the game. I think adapting to what other teams are doing, figuring out how we want to attack them on offense, and those things are paying off for us late. But certainly we could start a little bit better. I think everyone realizes that. But at the same point, we're playing at a really high level, and I don't want to be too critical of a couple things we get better at.
So those slow starts, too, they haven't heard him yet. They're 4-0 in league play, but I think he would be fine if they would start to pick it up, especially with the games they got coming up.
Yeah, can't complain about 4-0. Not great starts, but not bad either. But yes, they are going to need a good start on Saturday because Western Illinois coming to Frost Town.
Yeah, this is a good team. Western's been held down a little bit in their first 2 games in the Summit League, under 60 in a couple of those games. But here's AJ again talking about Western Illinois still being one of the best offensive teams around.
Western Illinois is just really explosive offensively, and their defense is very disruptive. They just have the right balance on both sides that complement kind of what they do. Their zone allows them to force some turnovers, but also keeps their rebounders in great position. They don't have a lot of matchup problems with that zone, so they're not having to figure out how to defend Macy in the post like a lot of other teams would, or you know, whatever it might be. And then offensively, they just play so well together, especially off of Clemens. She just creates a ton of offense for that team.
I think you could testify to that fact. Western Illinois, pretty good on both sides of the ball. In this game coming up on Saturday, Western at South Dakota State, you got 4 of the top 5 scorers in the Summit League with Maddie Giebert, Macy Miller for South Dakota State, Emily Clemens, and Taylor Higginbotham for Western Illinois. That should be a really good women's game.
2, perhaps some of the best dynamic duos in the mid-majors, so that'll be fun to watch. Well, we're going to switch gears one more time. We're moving on to a new element we've added to our show, and that is the Summit Strength Index. And for those wondering, each week in our office, Tom Nieman, Jay Elson, Brian Sean, Greg Steeman, Brad Newton, and I all submit our Summit League power rankings, and then Tom compiles them together, and we come out with the weekly strength index. So let's pull it up for this week, Tom, starting with the men. Take a look at this.
Yeah, on the men's side, South Dakota State have both played, kind of maybe separated themselves a little bit here early on, but we're only 4 games in for the most part into a 14-game season. But South Dakota State with David Jenkins Jr. and Mike Dom scoring at a big pace for them. They are number 1 right now. South Dakota, as you saw that win last night, only the 1 home loss to North Dakota State for the Coyotes. North Dakota State moves up a little bit at 2-2 ahead of Oral Roberts because ORU has lost those last 3 in a row. And the Bison have been really up and down in their first 4 games, and we'll see how they go as we get into the middle part of the season. And then the bottom half there for the men's side, Fort Wayne has been iffy, and we'll continue to see if they're going to be a 500 team or not. They seem like they're a better team than that, but we'll find out with Fort Wayne. And then Denver, Omaha, and Western Illinois pulling up the rear right now, all with 1 win in the league. But Omaha's a team that we think might come on a little bit here in the middle part of the season. And then for the women, Stu, on our strength index, pretty much chalk all the way down the standings the way it is right now with the Coyote women at 5-0. We were kind of split between the 6 of us on who should be number 1 this week. We went with South Dakota because they have been that good. And again, those two teams play each other coming up next week with South Dakota and South Dakota
And
State.
I think, I mean, those two teams obviously unblemished in league play, but I gave it to South Dakota because of that road win at Western. That did it for me.
Beat Western Illinois at Western Illinois, and South Dakota State, as we said, has been good, but they've been behind a lot in the first half. Coyotes look really good.
Next week, rivalry week, but before we get to that, there are some big games coming up this week already. Tonight, Denver is at Omaha, and that is at 7 p.m. Also, the women, it's Denver at Omaha as well. That is a doubleheader. And then Saturday, we have a variety of games going on across the Summit League. NDSU at Fort Wayne, South Dakota State at Western Illinois, South Dakota at Omaha, Denver at Oral Roberts for the men. And then for the women, Omaha's at South Dakota. That'll be live right here on Midco SN. Fort Wayne at North Dakota State. That'll be on Midco SN2. Western at SDSu, like we talked about. That should be a great one. And then Denver at Oral Roberts. Tom, we're going to have a great slate of this kind of mid-Summit League action going on. See how
especially when we get some of the league leaders. We haven't seen them play each other head-to-head so far yet. We've got Western Illinois and South Dakota's women, South Dakota State's women, and then the USD, SDSu women coming up. Same thing with the men coming up next week, so we get to kind of find out who's going to separate at the top.
Yes, exactly. All right.
Well,
great stuff, Tom.
Thanks, Stu.
All right, when we come back, we'll send it up to Fargo, where our own Brian Sean goes one-on-one with Bison sophomore guard Jared Samuelson. You're watching Midco Sports Tonight.
Midco Sports Tonight, presented by Avera Orthopedics.